Hey, welcome to Life in the Leadership Lane. I'm your host, Bruce Waller, where I get to talk to leaders that are making a difference in the workplace and in our community. What did they do to get started? And what are they doing to stay there? And oh my goodness, are you in for a treat today as I'm bringing you another special guest? As today I'm getting to talk to Jim D'Amico. Jim is the Vice President of Talent Acquisition at Caliber Collision. He's also been globally recognized as a talent acquisition leader. And Jim, I am so excited to have you on the show. How you doing?
I'm doing great and I'm glad to be here. It's always good to see you, Bruce.
Oh, always good to see you too. As a matter of fact, I always like to start the show reflecting on when I met my guests or when they came in my path. Some I hadn't met. I might have read their book, and it was the first time meeting them on the show. But for you, I want to see if you remember this. I think it was 2018 or 19 downtown Dallas at a TalentNet Live conference. And Craig Fisher, who's been extraordinaire with these conferences, was leading that conference in Dallas. Do you remember that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, you were involved in that. As a matter of fact, we recently were part of the I think it was the 15th anniversary conference at the Linux headquarters in Dallas, Texas. And I remember I also got a chance to watch you and Taylor speak. What'd you think about that conference?
As always, I think Craig puts on a fantastic conference because it brings such a great community together and such great speakers. The day that I spend at those talent conferences is always the day I learn the most every year. It's wonderful.
Yeah, I like those conferences too because they are, typically he has 100 plus. It makes it for a lot of like good networking, and that's where the learning is whenever you learn from others. And I'm with you on that. Hey, will you, of course, serve talent acquisition at Caliber? And I would love for you to share a brief highlight for those who don't know Caliber Collision. Share a brief highlight of your organization and how you serve your customers.
Caliber Collision is the largest auto collision repair business in the United States. And our mission is simple. We exist to restore the rhythm of our customer's life, right? Having your car damaged and out of your life is always a stressful experience. And we exist to reduce that stress, to keep it as short as possible, and to have you just so happy with the return product. I travel a lot and I wear my Caliber shirts when I'm out visiting sites, and invariably people come up to me and tell me that, oh my gosh, 6 months ago I took my car to Caliber,
Hmm.
and I always ask, well, how did you get it back? And they said it was better than it was before the original accident. I'm like, I love to hear that. So that's what we do for our customers.
I love that story better than before. And by the way, when someone shares that their mission in the organization, how they serve their customers, I immediately like it gives me chills because I just think it's special working for a mission-driven organization. I love the mission, restoring the rhythm. Like, how does like we're going to talk about talent acquisition today and all things recruiting, but how does like does that make that? I would think that would make that easier for recruiting. How does that play into recruiting, knowing that like you have this mission that you're extremely proud of, and others can come be a part of that?
Yeah, I think it's a fabulous way to look at things because when we think about it as a company, it's not just restoring the rhythm of our customers' lives. We look at how we're restoring the rhythm of our employees' life,
Mm,
right? So when you think about things like collision repair, it's complicated and hard work. It's certainly something I would never be able to do. And it's important that we really support our entire organization in that mission. And so that our people that work for us doing that hard work, and look, I know a lot of them might not say this to you, but a lot of the folks that work in this body repair, they're artists, they're
mm.
artisans in what they do, but they couldn't do what they do if they were overworked, overstressed, if they had to worry about the little things. So it's important that we help them maintain the rhythm of their life as well.
I love that, and I love how you describe them as artists because what they do. I mean, it's like if taking a car, like getting your car repaired and getting it back better than before. I mean, all the work that goes into that. I mean, there's a lot of detail. I mean, it's that's pretty, and I love how leaders talk about their people like that. That's fantastic. Well, I want to talk about get to know you a little bit more. I know you, Jim, and we've known each other for years, but I bet you there's some things I don't know about you. I would love to know the Jim D'Amico story. Like, where did you grow up, and how in the world did you get into talent acquisition and leadership?
Well, that's a great question. Well, I grew up in Cleveland, Ohio.
Oh,
So I'm just an Italian kid from Cleveland, making it here in the Big D. But, of course, I did not grow up dreaming of being in talent acquisition. That was not my dream. I was actually probably best described as a bit of a delinquent in high school. I enlisted in the Army and wound up going to a military college. I served in the Army as an armored crewman. Loved it, enjoyed it. I got my degree in secondary education. I did that because that got me to the campus where the girls were. That was a civilian campus. So I never really had a desire to teach. And when I got out of college, like I realized in my time in the Army, and I would not trade a second of it away. But I'm a joker, not a fighter. So I thought I was going
mm.
to make it as a stand-up comedian, and I trained at Second City for
Oh,
many, many years. I toured doing comedy. I wrote two short films that were in the Tribeca Film Festival, and a stage show. And as you can probably tell by my career now, I wasn't super awesome at it, but I gave it a try. And, so here I was, a tanker, a teacher, a failed comedian. Where does that leave me to do career wise? Which was sales. And from sales, that led to third party recruiting. And from third party recruiting, realizing that third party recruiting's a lot of work, and most third parties run on Morgan method philosophy. So it's a bit of an adversarial sales process, and saying, well, there's got to be a better way, which then led me to build managed staffing programs, which we call RPO now, and then come in house to build TA for companies. So that's kind of the track. And I'm sorry for everyone that just fell asleep. You can wake back up now.
well, first of all, let me just say thank you for your service in
You're worth it.
Cleveland, Ohio. I love that. I did not, I don't think I realized that you had written some short films and part of the stage show. For those who are listening right now, Jim, every time I see him, he has on a bow tie. And now like it makes me think, oh man, like this it's the stage, it's the presentation, it's all of that. I love how you said tanker, teacher, comedian, sales and recruiting, and that is the path. And it just goes to show, and I guarantee there's people listening right now that would like, I get it, man. It's not a straight path to whatever. And there's very few people I've interviewed that have had that just, I know exactly what I'm going to do at college, and boom, I'm doing it for the rest of my life. And a lot of times you have to try a lot of new things to be able to do that. Let me ask you this though. So you went from tanker, teacher, comedian, recruiting, and by the way, whenever I saw you speaking at Talent Out Live, I looked at you as a teacher because you were trying to teach others, and that's what I see you doing today. So that's part of it. But was there a moment when you found your lane? I wrote the book Find Your Lane, and when you really find what you enjoy doing, it gives you great joy. As your profession progressed, and now you're globally recognized as a talent acquisition leader. Was there a moment though when you're like, you know what, I found what I really enjoy doing? Yeah, I enjoyed all the other things, but this is really what I really enjoy doing. Was there a moment?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it was early in my career when I saw the impact I was able to have on candidates, right? The people that look, they wanted that role, they wanted to be part of something, and I was able to help make that match and make that happen for them. And the first time you do it, it's like the first time you get applause on stage. It's addicting, right? You
Mm,
want to do it again. And what that triggered in me was when I was just a baby recruiter, right? I was doing that one at a time, one at a time. And I dreamt of doing that at scale, right? I dreamt of doing that not just for that candidate, but also how can I help companies, and by bringing in the right people, help the people at the companies rise and do better. So it was that first placement I ever did that really told
Mm.
me this is what you want to do. You know, when I was selling copiers, a copier doesn't thank you. It doesn't care where it gets
Oh.
plugged in, but the person does, and it becomes a
Mm.
lifelong relationship. And to me, that hit all the buttons.
I love that because I like talking about purpose and driving with purpose, and that's what drives you with purpose because you're like, man, I can really help people with their next. I love that. Hey, I know that at the conference, I heard you share a little bit about the power of mentorship, and I followed you since, and I've heard you talk a lot about mentorship. I would love for you to share, your perspective on mentorship. Were there some mentors that helped you get to where you are today? And if there were, I don't know, maybe what were a couple things that made them great mentors? And then how do you mentor others today?
Yeah, and look, I would not be where I am without mentors.
Mm,
So it's one of the most critical things I think everybody needs in their career. And I've had some just absolutely fantastic mentors throughout my career that have, you know, to me, the biggest thing that they do is one, they share freely from their experience.
mm,
So it's not just theory that they're talking about, but they're sharing from their experience. They also are unbiased advisors and viewers, right? They
mm,
see me differently than I see me and are able to help me fill in blinders that I might have or gaps that I have. And that kind of feedback really helps me because it's by somebody that doesn't have, any ulterior motives other than being my mentor. It's always incredibly clear and excellent feedback that I get. And they listen, right? When
mm,
when I started being mentored, they asked me where I wanted to go, and they built a pathway for me to
mm,
do that. And they brought in other people when we needed other people to fill in any of those learning gaps. So, I mean, that was just absolutely meant the world to me. And I believe very strongly we have three phases in our careers, right?
okay.
And it's learn, earn, and return. And I feel very strongly and very blessed myself that I'm at that return phase and that
Mm,
I can give back. And mentoring others means the world to me because I want each successive generation in TA and in leadership to learn from not just my successes, what I've
mm,
done well, but also my mistakes and my failures so that they don't have to repeat those.
mm,
Anytime I take on a new mentor, we spend a lot of time talking about very specifically what is it that they want out of the mentorship, how they learn, how they want content delivered, so that it's a bespoke process for everybody. No two relationships are the same, but I'm so proud of people that I've mentored because nothing makes me happier than seeing their success,
oh.
right? And knowing that I've had some small part in that, but it just brings me so much joy to see other people be successful.
I love all that. I'm just gonna real quick. They share freely, mentors. I love this. And if you're listening right now, you need to be taking notes here. They share freely. They have unbiased viewership. They listen, but I love it how you said they also bring others with them. I wanna dive just a little bit deep here. I want to ask you this. There's some people listening right now. They're like, man, I need a mentor. I need to get a mentor. I don't know, or maybe it's someone, hey, I need to mentor someone. I don't know, share maybe some perspective on somebody listening right now and like let's just say they're wanting a mentor. Maybe there's someone that's just getting out of college and they're trying to find their lane. What would you, I don't know, what would you recommend or a tip you might share for them to explore?
Yeah, so I think the biggest tip, Bruce, is ask somebody,
Mm,
right? Don't just think that I need somebody, ask somebody, right? Because here's the thing. If somebody has the bandwidth, they're almost never going to say no to you. I
yeah.
mean, again, when people get to this phase of return, they are happy to help. But
Mm,
if they don't have the bandwidth, they probably have an incredible network and will help connect you with a mentor that's right for you. Right. And guess what? It may be somebody that they mentored as well. So it continues this wonderful
mm,
chain of giving that we all get to be a part of. And I think that that's That's fantastic. But where most people do go wrong is they're just afraid to ask. Nobody's
Mm.
going to bite you. Nobody's going to take your birthday away because you asked if they'd be their mentor. They will do everything in their power to help you get the right mentor.
Agree 100%. I love that. They're not going to take away your birthday. That's funny. This is the stand-up comedians coming out at them, folks. That's good advice because it's. I always say this. I had a leader come on to the show one time, and she said, "It's easy and it's hard." It's real easy. Just ask, but it's hard. If you're thinking about you need to kind of like just do it, just act on
Yes.
that. I love that. I've actually had people that have, and I'm the same way. I'm in that return stage. I love mentoring others, but there's times in my season where, I just don't have the bandwidth. But then I'll say, hey, but I'm going to connect you with someone who is going to be a great mentor
Yes.
for you. And so that's great advice. I love that. Hey, let's talk leadership here.
Yeah.
I always like to ask my guests on the show that I admire as a leader. If someone said, "Hey, Jim, what's leadership to you?" How would you respond to that?
It's a great question. And I know there are a lot of different definitions to leadership.
Mm,
I always think that true leadership, my job is to set true north for my team, to say this is where we are going, but then at the same time, give my team the freedom to show me how we're going to get there. I will say this is true north. I will give you the tools. I will push boulders out of your way. I will remove obstacles. But I believe my team, once they know the destination, are best equipped to actually
mm.
show us the way to do it.
Mm, that's fantastic. And I've got a chance to meet with your team. I got a chance to visit with them at your leadership summit, and I love all of that. Set true north for my team. That's fantastic. Hey, well, I know that and I would like to ask you, like right now, what is a talent acquisition landscape like? You hear all these different stories about, hey, companies are laying off. Hey, companies are, it's kind of slow right now. But yeah, there's other companies that are hiring. What is the landscape right now in your view?
Yeah, so it's a mixed bag when you think of TA as a whole, where there
Hmm.
are there are some companies that are laying off, there are some
Hmm.
companies that are hiring, but I think overall the job market is actually still very good. There's still a
Hmm.
lot of opportunity out there. I think if I was a candidate in the job market today, I
Hmm.
would really truly be focusing on networking versus
Hmm.
bulk applying because human relationships really matter and can have a big impact. In our industry, look, there's a lot of demand, and we're pushing to make 50 hires a week for body techs,
Hmm.
and it's it's a lot of demand, and it's a lot of work for my team to push towards those goals. But they're doing a wonderful job. They're really engaging and committed to that mission. But there is work out there if people want to work.
I love how you said networking would be the best focus. I love that because you know me, I am very immersed in the power of networking. I think
Yes.
that's what's helped me during my entire career. I think a lot of people will wait until, they need something before we start networking. But have you always been I don't know, I'll use the word natural networker, or was it hard for you early on? Like, I don't know, talk about like how did you get started in networking? And I want you to share because I think there's some listeners right now they have it in their mind, like, yeah, I need to probably do some networking, but I'm not sure really how to do that. Have you always been a natural?
I don't know if it's been natural. I've always known that there was a necessity for it. Like,
Yeah.
look, I'll be very honest. I am not the smartest person in this conversation right now. I'm not the smartest person in this building. I know my
Mm.
limitations. And what I know, and you really learn this in the military, is the power of a team and how everybody in a team has areas of expertise and areas of specialty and how they support each other. And So when I started to figure out I needed to make it my way in a civilian career, I think, and call it, you know, naivete, if you will, but I'm like, how do I get my team? How do I get my team to support me? And I just
Mm,
started asking people
mm,
like how to do things. How can I solve this? What are your thoughts? And it was something that I remember my father told me when I was younger. He told me, "Don't learn the tricks of the trade, learn the trade."
mm,
And so I just kept asking people, "What do you know? What are you doing? What's working for you?" And it just created networking for me. And it's been it's been very strange, I guess, to watch how I went from the person asking the questions to now I'm still asking these questions, but now more and more people are coming to ask me those
mm.
questions as well.
Well, and I think that comes with great humility. And I think that people listening needed to hear that. Like, you know what? It's okay to not know the answer. It's okay to ask for help. And I always like to share, people like to help other people if they
Yes.
only know how to help them. And a lot of
Yes.
times they don't know how to help them, right?
Yeah. But if you ask, it helps put that in context for them. So I
Hmm.
love asking people for help.
Well, I know on LinkedIn you shared you specialize in building best in class TA functions for global organizations. And I'm just like, when I read that, I thought to myself, I'm going to ask Jim, like, what does success look like? What does a great team look like for those listening?
Well, it starts with throwing away longtime people think for a long time people thought that talent acquisition exists to fill positions. And that's
Hmm.
not why talent acquisition exists.
Hmm.
Talent acquisition exists to increase value to the organization. When we talk about value, that's shareholders, stakeholders, but that's
Hmm.
also all of our fellow employees, right? We exist as a value added piece of this organization. So changing that thinking from focusing on the transactional, which is how we do that, but it's not
Hmm.
the why. So focusing on what that why is really, really important. That we're more than just a function that exists to punch, okay, filled it, filled it,
Hmm.
filled it. That's not what we do. So changing that and then understanding from a team level, understanding what impact we really do have. When you
Hmm.
hire the right person, how
Hmm.
does that change the lives of those around them? How does it change their lives? Oftentimes, in the work that we're doing with programs like our apprenticeship program and our Changing Lanes program, which is our military hiring program, we're changing communities. And that's huge. And it doesn't have to just be in our industry. Every industry in TA, you have this ability to be an agent for value and change. And I think once you start to build that with your teams, it changes their focus. It changes how they think about the nature of work. It changes how they deliver the work. So that's always been my belief.
And I love that because at the end of the day, you hit the nail on the head. It is bringing value to the organization. So how can you do that? And I love that because when you said, how does it change someone's lives? I mean, now all of a sudden you're saying, how are you bringing purpose to your everyday to help others? You mentioned changing lanes. I had a section in my book called Changing Lanes. But then I heard you say military. I would love for you, like, so talk to me about maybe a couple of programs you have going that you're pretty excited about.
Yeah, so our Changing Lanes program, which we're currently expanding actually, is an excellent program for folks transitioning out of the military
Mm-hmm.
um, to join us as a body tech, right? So they go through a multi-week training and then they enter into our apprenticeship program. And then they'll go to their shop where they're returning to their location. So it's a great way for people to transition out. But we also have built out through our incredible Caliber Way training programs, changing lanes programs for people that are transitioning out or are veterans that are interested in being service advisors or the people that do our estimates, office administration, parts roles, parts coordination roles, because there are MOSs in the military that align with these. And we're able to help veterans make this transition. When they join the program, they're identified as changing lanes because oftentimes folks transitioning out need additional support, additional
Mm,
resources. So we're able to support them and build this out. But this is a company, because we focus on mission and team, is a really great fit for folks coming out of the military. When I got out, there was nothing like this. I would have
mm,
jumped on something like this. So I am passionate about the program, and
mm.
I'm passionate about how we can help add value to our transitioning service members.
Yeah, I love that, man. Let me ask you this. Like, you're pretty driven. What drives you?
Well, it evolves. I think what drove me at first was, I don't ever want to do anything halfway. So I
Mhm.
wanted to be an expert in my field. I wanted to learn everything I could, and I still want to learn everything that I can about talent acquisition. Then, it was about building my career so that I could have financial freedom, right?
Hmm.
That's really was important to me because that financial freedom now has given me which I think is my and look, I'm not ashamed to say this, but I'm getting close to final chapter, right? And my final chapter now is how do I give back
Mm,
to those around me.
mm,
And, you got to meet Taylor, for example.
mm.
And, a lot of what motivates me right now is Taylor and the rest of the leadership team on my team here is making sure that they are all set for that same level of success. I want them all to be experts. I want them all to have financial freedom. And I want them to be able to give back as much as they want to give back. So, that's what really drives me today is, that give back piece.
And I think that's what makes the difference to me. I've interviewed now over 200 high performers in the workplace, and the thing that I see, the common thread is not only they're a continuous learner. You just said, I still want to learn. I love that because I find myself, I'm like, there is so much to learn that you can never learn enough. But the more important thing is giving hope, and that's helping other people every day. And that's what you are doing. You want to do. You want to give people hope. And when people like have that poured into them, they turn into high performers and then they give hope too. And so it's just that I want to help those, I want to give back from all the people that poured into me. I want to pour into others so they can pour into others, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a continuous chain.
Yeah, I love that. Oh my goodness, this is so good. Hey, well, let me ask you this. I'm curious. I do like to ask high performers around also around habits. I'm curious. Do you have like a I don't know a practice or a habit that you've applied to your on your journey that's helped you continue to be the person that you want to be and continue to grow as a leader?
Oh my gosh. Yes.
And you could
You
share
know,
more than one.
yeah, look, so, my leaders in the military really talk about discipline, and discipline is habits, right?
Okay.
So, look, I get up. I am up no later than 4:15 in the morning,
Yep.
make my bed, go to the gym, come home, have my protein shake, eat my breakfast salad, right? And while I'm having breakfast, I'm reading the Wall Street Journal, um, shower, get into the office early, usually spend at least 15 to 30 minutes trying to learn something new, whether it's something in TA, something in business, something in science, whatever it is. I want to spend some time learning something new. And then I begin my workday. And, look, the habit that serves me well is I eat the frog, do the
Mm,
hardest thing first,
mm.
and then go forward from there.
I love that. And it just goes to show, I mean, you have to design. It's like you designed your day, you designed your week, you designed your life around that, and I think that's important for people to hear. Some people are like, oh man, I don't know, I can't get up at 4 o'clock in the morning. And what I say is it doesn't matter if it's 4 o'clock in the morning or 6 o'clock at night or 10 o'clock at night. Just make sure you have a system because I think that's what you have is a system, right?
Yes, absolutely. And look, I would love to sleep in, but you know, you have to take care of your body, your
Yeah.
mind, and your spirit, right? You have to do all three of those things to be able to one feel complete and feel good, but also to give to others, right? If you can't take care of yourself, you can't give to others. So it's really important to me.
Well, I know I asked you about, what drives you, but I do want to ask you this last question before I
Yeah.
shift to time to accelerate. And I'm just curious, like you just mentioned that, and I love that the learn, earn, and return. Now you're in that return stage. What do you, I don't know, if you were to get on stage and someone said, "Hey, what are you most proud of?" What would that be, Jim?
I'm proud of the people that have been on my team and what they've done. I mean, there's never, I've worked with Taylor for 8 years, and I'm just amazed at how she's grown and what she's become, and other folks that I've mentored, Steve White, Eric Van Duren, to name a couple. Like, I'm just so,
Mm,
that's what I am most proud of is the good and wonderful they've been able to do. That just, it fills me with just so, like, just incredible amounts of joy.
mm.
It's what makes me smile all the time.
I love that. I love all of that. And I know that people are listening right now. They're getting a lot out of it. I've already taken 2 pages of notes here, Jim, and I'm loving learning from you. And I was curious, and you've shared that. I was curious, like, hey, what have you taken from your military? And now you've talked about how you put that in the workplace. And I love all the things that you're doing around that as well. And so you're just doing incredible work. I call it you are in the lane of significance and just keep on traveling there. Hey, I want to shift over to it's time to accelerate for some
Yeah,
fun facts. The first
yeah.
question I like to ask is, do you have a favorite book or podcast that kind of helps you stay in growth mode?
So I, I love to read and listen to podcasts. I read one book every week.
Hmm.
Um, but as I think about one that's really helped me along, it's "The Obstacle Is the Way" by Ryan Holiday,
Okay.
which constantly reminds me. And I probably glanced up at it while I was saying that on my bookshelf. It just constantly reminds me is there's nothing we can't overcome. And oftentimes how we look at the problem, if we change our perspective
Hmm.
and focus that the solution lies within the problem,
Hmm.
we can solve it.
I'm going to be ordering that book. That's one thing I've loved about this podcast. Everybody shares their books. I'm as soon as the podcast is over, I'm over there ordering books. I've got like a bookshelf of unread books. But that is so good. I appreciate that. I love that. The obstacle is the way. I will put the link in the show notes for those listening to click on that. Hey, what's you mentioned you love to learn. I'm just curious. What's something you've always wanted to learn?
Something I've always wanted and tried so unsuccessfully for many, many years is I want to be fluent in French. Um,
Bonjour. That's all I know. That's so good. Yeah, it's hard to learn another language, isn't it? I've tried to learn even Spanish, and I pick up some words, and then as soon as I stop practicing, it all goes away.
I barely know English,
Yeah,
so learning French has been a challenge.
I love that. Hey, what's something people are surprised to find out about you?
I think people are surprised to find out that I have hobbies that are focused on slowing down because I have a
Hmm.
pretty high operational pace all the time.
Yeah.
I'm go, go, go. But two of the hobbies that I really enjoy in life are fly fishing and bonsai trees, and both of those force me to slow down
Mm.
and create a meditative process for me. So I think people are surprised. They probably think I'm out, doing fast-paced
Hmm.
things in my free time, but my free time is really about slowing down and reflecting.
I love that, and I haven't really heard of it as hobbies that focus on slowing down. I've done some fly fishing in Utah, and I remember how like slow and calm and peaceful it was. Yet it was very energizing,
Yes.
and that is fantastic. Man, that's so good. I love that. I appreciate that. Hey, I want to ask you a final question here, and this is probably my favorite question that I like to ask my guests, and that is, Jim, 10 years older, is around the corner and he's knocking at your door, and you're going to go answer that door. What's he going to tell you?
Well, hopefully he's going to tell me that the Trouts are really going for those midges. That would be awesome. But I, I hope he's there to remind me that my whatever significance I have, whatever I've accomplished, it's
Mhm,
because of the people that I have brought along with me, right?
mhm,
That it's not about me, it's about that network and that community that I've built to be successful. Um, so I hopefully 10-year-old me is like saying, great, you did good, but look back at all the people that have done great because you
mhm.
did good.
Yeah. I love that. That's a wise 10 years older Jim D'Amico. Jim, this has been so much fun. I could do 4 more hours with you. I want to get into a deeper dive in all these things, especially as a comedian. We'll have to continue that conversation. But hey, I'm grateful for you coming on the show and sharing some wisdom. I know some people are listening right now that took some notes and are going to be better from it. If someone heard you and they're like, I want to follow Jim, or I want to get to know Jim, or I want to learn more about Caliber and some of the things they're doing in TA, what's the best way for someone to connect with you?
LinkedIn is fabulous, but also, people can email me anytime they want. It's jim.d'amico@caliber.com. Pretty easy. I'm always happy to speak with people.
Fantastic. And I'll put the link in the show notes so you can connect with Jim and be sure and let him know that, hey, you heard him on Life in the Leadership Lane podcast. It makes
Yeah.
the connection so much easier. And so, Jim, I appreciate you. I appreciate our friendship. I appreciate all the things that you're doing to in your return stage to help others and give others hope. And you're doing amazing, amazing work. And I'm so glad to know you. And I can't wait to share this conversation.
No, thank you so much, Bruce. It's been a pleasure.
You're welcome. Hey, I'll talk to you later, man.